All right. Well, we'd like to start by welcoming everybody out this morning. It's really actually pretty neat for both Chuck and myself. My name's Steve, to start out with. I'm one of the detectives here. I normally go by that. It seems to be a whole lot easier to remember, the first name. But the last couple of times that we've had the chance to present kind of this information, we've had a few smaller groups. So to be able to get a larger turnout today this is wonderful. Unfortunately, we've seen a large uptick, and we're going to go over that today in frauds and scams that are happening to all the residents here in Herriman. And we're really trying to put this together to not just get it out to you guys, but hopefully you guys can share some of this information with family and friends, so we can try to put a curb on this a little bit, at least here within our community. To briefly start out, my name's Steve Peterson. I've been here in Herriman since 2015. I came out here and started working in the area with Unified Police Department. I've been in law enforcement since 2010, so I'm now in my 14th year. It's a great job for me. I love solving puzzles. I love looking at things from a different perspective to try and come up with a new solution. I've been back with our investigations division now for just over 2 years. November marked 2 years for me. And my main focus is property crimes. I'm doing a lot of that. That's probably 90% of my caseload. I do get a few other things sprinkled in here and there, but that's kind of been my focus. I've spent a lot of time on the road. And by that, I did mainly patrol, but I also spent a lot of time doing our traffic division. I did some time with our motors division as well, and then I'm also working with our accident reconstruction team. So that's just a little bit about me. Grew up in American Fork, so I've always called the area home. And I'll let Chuck go ahead and introduce himself.
Good morning, I'm Chuck Malm. I'm almost pushing 25 years as a law enforcement officer. I did 20 years of law enforcement service with Salt Lake County Sheriff's Office and Unified Police Department. I retired from law enforcement in 2019, and then a little over a year later, I just missed it so much. I missed the culture of law enforcement. I missed serving our community, and as a resident of Herriman for over 20 years, just wanting to try to make a difference and give back. So came back. I'm here with Herriman PD. I've been here since August of 2020. And with my years of experience, my specialty is community policing and community-involved policing. So I work as a liaison between Herriman City and the police department with you as residents. So if you have ongoing issues that maybe a patrol officer can't handle right away, I'm that liaison name and a face of an officer that could come to you directly and work out whatever, if there's neighbor disputes, neighbor issues, if there's criminal issues going on within your community. We'll make sure that I have some business cards at the end of this presentation that you can take with you. So if there's something that's unrelated to this fraud class and you have law enforcement related questions, please reach out to me. You'll have my cell phone, you'll also have my email. But other than that, we really appreciate you coming out, taking time to just educate yourself on the trends of what's going on within our community and the nation. So with that said, I'll just turn the time over to Steve and we'll go from there. If you have a question, just raise your hand. We'll hand you the mic. We believe that there are people online viewing as well that can also type in some questions, and we will do our best to get to every question today. So.
One also quick reminder, make sure I turn my microphone back on. I understand that we all have a lot of experiences in this room. And when we raise our hand today, or if you have anything that you'd like to share, just due to the fact that we have so many people and we do have a time constraint today, I'm going to ask that we limit all of our comments to being questions that are directly related to what we're talking about. That way we don't get into things where we start sharing stories and then we kind of get off on tangents too far. Unfortunately, we do have a schedule we're going to try and keep today. One of the things that I did is I pulled a lot of statistics just to kind of begin to share things with you guys. Let's see here. Is this going to work? Maybe. Well, sorry, guys. Like I just got done telling you, it's my first day, so give me a little bit of break. Unfortunately, I didn't have any of our 2023 statistics yet, but a lot of the statistics I'm going to kind of discuss today with you guys, share with you, are as recent as 2022, okay? But with our fraud and scams that we're seeing nationwide, all right, in the last 5 years, over $27 billion, okay? And of that, we're seeing a growth of basically $1.9 billion every year. I mean, and it's getting faster. I actually project within the next 2 to 3 years, that 1.9 is probably going to be closer to 3 to 4 billion a year. Every year, it's exponentially growing. In 2022, we had 88,000 victims that made reports that were over the age of 60. Unfortunately, what we're seeing a lot of right now is as technology is advancing so rapidly, these scammers are getting more and more sophisticated, and they're realizing that everybody over the age of 40 isn't keeping up with those trends as quickly, and everybody over the age of 60, the learning curve is even steeper, so they're really trying to take advantage of that. Again, another reason why we tried to put these trainings together and get the word out to you guys. We're trying to make it really, make you guys really aware of how prevalent this is, okay? The average loss is $35,000, okay? So that's over all those reports every year. Last year, or in 2022, $35,000. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I can sure speak for myself. I don't have $35,000 to lose. Matter of fact, this week, I don't have $5 to lose. So I don't know about you guys, but that's the boat I'm in at this point, okay? Why this training? What can we do, right? Keep your money and your information to yourself. That's going to be our number one thing. If I know who you are or we're in the right setting, I'm going to share stuff with you. But other than that, I mean, we better be sitting at a bank table with loan paperwork in front of us for us to discuss any of my personal information. I think that should be kind of the same thing for all of us, okay? We're going to be covering various scams and frauds that we're seeing reported to our police department. These are actual cases that I have personally worked. I know with Chuck's experience, he's taken a lot of these calls and cases as well, okay? We've seen these, and that's why we're going to discuss them. So the first one we're going to jump into is call center or support, computer support stuff, okay? You're going to be on your computer. Let's just say you're reading the news, you're on, I don't know, CNN, Fox News, something like that, and all of a sudden it pops up telling you, this is Microsoft, you've got a virus, you need to call this phone number right now. Okay, now I take this, I'm bringing this case to you right now because I just closed this case out 2 weeks ago. Okay, the poor lady calls him. Yeah, this is Microsoft, I need you to go ahead and verify this. Are you calling from a landline or a cell phone? Well, I'm calling from my home phone. Okay, well, I need you to call me back at this cell phone number. She picks up her cell phone and calls back. Okay, great. The reason I had you call my cell phone is because we found out that there was a virus on your computer and the scammers were also tracking your home phone. Okay? Now they just keep playing it, keep playing it, keep playing it. They found out what kind of bank account she had. They found out the money she had in her bank accounts. Then they told her that not only that, because she'd used her computer for some online banking stuff, the hackers now had information to her bank. So what he was going to do was transfer her to Wells Fargo. His buddy gets on another phone and calls her cell phone. Hey, this is Wells Fargo. Well, he now used the information confirmed by her to the first caller. And he's like, now this is you, right? And this is your information. She's like, oh, geez, this guy really has all my info. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take your money. We're going to transfer it out of your savings account. We're going to put it in a new savings account number I've now set up for you. It's a secure one. She transfers $10,000 of her money into this account, and it's gone. Okay? It's really tricky, but they're getting good at it. They're fast talkers. They want to keep you on the line. They're going to create a sense of urgency, okay? Don't give any of your information about your computer. If you do think you got a problem with it, okay, there's various ways that are proper to go about it. You can get on and research, actually Microsoft, right? Call somebody, if you're in my shoes, I call my little brother, right? He's 15 years younger than me. Hey, this just happened to my computer. He goes, don't touch anything, I'm on my way. He comes over and takes care of it for me. I think we all know one or two of those people, or we got a neighbor who knows somebody like that we can trust, okay? Now, another one is investment scams. Now, this is a really big thing we're seeing right now, okay? I don't know if you guys have tried to keep up on this cryptocurrency information, all right? But they basically started piggybacking off of the internet and trading stocks through the internet. Then they created this, cryptocurrency, which isn't really backed by anything except for all of our money we're putting into it. Then they start showing you investments, right? Hey, you give me $5,000, we're going to go ahead and invest that, and in 3 to 4 weeks, he starts showing you that your $5,000 investment is now turned into $7,000, $8,000, right? He starts showing you great returns. Now you're going to be like, okay, well, you did that with my $5,000. Well, here's another $5,000. Okay, poor lady that I was talking to October last year, she didn't realize that this guy had disappeared back to Belgium until she had lost $57,000 to him. All of a sudden, she gets on to check her account, and the website he created, shut down. His Facebook page, gone. He's a ghost. We can't find it. I start searching. As a matter of fact, I got in touch with the Federal Trade Commission, the FBI. They said, yeah, this guy's been reported all over the United States, and what it looks like is he's disappeared to Belgium somewhere. Gone, a ghost with all of that money. Okay? Right now, this is really probably one of the most prevalent. As you can see by that graph chart there, okay? It's not $1 million. That's $1 billion that red bar is almost reaching up to. Okay, this is gaining traction, and this is picking up speed. I strongly suggest to people that you use very, very big caution. Can cryptocurrency net you a lot of money? Yes, it can. Matter of fact, I know a lot of people who've made a lot of money in various ways from it. However, with it being such a moving thing, a dynamic thing, it's changing every single day, I say use some strong caution with this. Now, here's one that we actually had a very interesting case happen just a couple months ago. Poor lady gets a phone call, Salt Lake County Sheriff's Office. A warrant has been issued for your arrest. It's a $25,000 bail, and you must pay it, or I'm sending an officer and a deputy to your home. They're going to arrest you. They are going to take you to jail. Well, how can I take care of this? Well, tell you what, because your bail is $25,000, we can do a bond on it. You come up with 10% of that. We'll go ahead and float the rest of it, and we know that you'll go to court. That $2,500 can be put towards your fines. Anything left over, you'll get back. Well, how do I pay that? Simple. Go down to Walmart, pick up a bunch of Apple gift cards. You're going to take a picture of all the information on those cards. You send them to me, and when the $2,500 gets to me, we clear your warrant. Now, he starts talking really fast, starts using a lot of scare techniques is what we talk about, okay? You're going to jail. I have police officers and deputies on the way to your house. All right? She's so scared, he keeps telling her, do not hang up with me. If you hang up, these officers know where you are. We're tracking your cell phone right now. We are going to come pick you up. What's she do? She does the right thing. She comes down here to the police department. She gets so confused because she's so scared. She walks over to our planning department across the hall from the PD, right? One of our employees here sees that she's clearly in crisis. She doesn't know what's going on. He walks her over to us. And when she gets help from Karen at the front desk, she actually collapses to the floor. And she's just so spent of energy and emotion that her legs aren't even working. It takes them about 10 minutes to get her up, to sit her in a chair, just because she's so emotionally drained. She was so scared that she couldn't even hang up the telephone. Now, we got real lucky on this one, okay? She did not give them any money. This poor lady could have been out a lot of money. What happened was Karen grabbed the phone, she unmutes it, and she goes, Hello, this is Karen with the Herriman Police Department. How can I help you, and what can we do to resolve this? The person said, and then hung up on her. Weird, right? But you know, it's happening, guys. It is happening, okay? We actually had one of our local restaurants here in town. They had a poor girl. She'd just been made manager. They did the same thing. This is the FBI. We've been made aware of a national warrant. It's a federal warrant for one of your employees. We're going to come to your restaurant. We're going to arrest them unless you go take all the money out of the cash register, you drive up to Walmart, and you get me some gift cards. Guys, this poor lady lost her job because she took $7,000 from the restaurant and gave them gift. Here's the problem. This poor young lady was only 25 years old, and she fell victim to it, okay? So while I'm explaining this to you guys, and I showed you on the first slide that, you know, we have a lot of victims that are over the age of 40, over the age of 60. This happens to everybody. This is why we ask that we get this information out to people, okay? If a legitimate police officer calls you, hey, Chuck, this is Detective Peterson with the Herriman Police Department. I found out I have a warrant for your arrest. I am never, at any point, probably going to tell you I have a warrant for your arrest by phone. That's not the way we work. I'm just going to I'm going to knock on your door, or me and a group of guys are going to come knock on your door, right? Second thing I will never do, okay? Matter of fact, you can take this to the chief if you don't agree with this. I'm never going to ask you to pay me to get you out of a warrant. Okay, that's not the way we work. Okay, if you do have to pay bail, if you do have to pay a bail bondsman, that goes to the courts, it goes, you know, there's a lot of other places. Me, personally, it's not coming to me. And third and most importantly, you can't pay for this stuff by giving me an Apple gift card. Okay? As much as I like my Apple phone, everybody gives me grief here because I actually dislike my Apple stuff. I'm an Android guy. I'm not going to ask you for an Apple card, okay? But any law enforcement agency will not ask for payment through a gift card. We will not ask for payment over a telephone unless it's something we've already previously set up and you're clearly aware of it ahead of time, okay? That's just not the way we work. Trying to make sure, wiring money as well. I have seen this. It's not as prevalent anymore now that they're doing the gift card thing. But we have had a lot of them to use Western Union. Hey, look, you know, I'm up here in the Denver office, right? I can't come to you and get money. But my agents are in the area. If you send money to my office, you know, you can just run down to Walgreens, use the Western Union, wire me $1,200, and I'll tell them to hold off until you go to court and talk to the judge. Again, not a way we're going to work. Not one of our normal procedures, okay? Before we jump into this one, I'll go ahead and give it a pause for a moment. I know we've covered a couple different topics. Do we have any questions or anything that maybe I moved too quick for you or something you'd like some clarification on? Actually, hang on. Let's get a microphone so everybody can hear.
I just don't get the gift card thing. What do they do? Go to Walmart or to whatever and just buy stuff? Or can they turn that into cash?
Right. So what a lot of them are doing is they ask you for the number and the PIN off the back, right? And there's a way, and I don't fully understand how they do it, but there is a way that I get your gift card, it gets transferred into my account, and then I'm able to cash it out. What I think a lot of them are doing, and I'm still, like I said, I'm still trying to catch up with it. I've only been doing this about 2 years, and I am very behind the Belgrade on this one. I'm trying to get caught up. But what it looks like they're doing is they're using a lot of that to buy this cryptocurrency, or they're able to exchange it for other things. It's something that they're doing on a lot of these websites. So I basically take these gift card amounts, especially a lot of the Apple gift cards. I'm using that to purchase things such as cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, whatever it might be, and then I'm instantly cashing it out, and then when it cashes out, it goes through and turns back into money in my bank account, whatever country I've sent it to. Not only that, But now it's moved through 5 or 6 different computer servers, and that money is gone. Because it went through the cash register when you bought it, and then you sent it to me, and I put that information in on my laptop. And then I bought cryptocurrency with it in Switzerland, and then Switzerland transferred it to a bank account in Belgium, and Belgium took that money and they turned it into francs, and now it's sitting in my bank account in Germany, right? And there's really no way to trace it because they can actually do that. They're doing this so fast that within a matter of minutes, it's completely gone. Yes.
I think you addressed the term sheriff in one of your scenarios in the past. Can you please explain the role of a sheriff?
Right. Think of it this way, okay? We have our country, we have our states, we have our counties and our cities, right? In the United States, we have the federal police. We have the FBI and all the other alphabet letter law enforcement agencies who work. They're actual federal police officers who cover, depending on where their assignment is, but anywhere in the United States. In the state of Utah, we have the Highway Patrol. That's our state police. Other states you go to, you have state police and you have state troopers, depending on how they've set up their thing. So here in Utah, we have the Utah Highway Patrol. That's our state police. Their main focus is our highways and freeways, but they also have the State Bureau of Investigation and other things where they help out police agencies throughout the state, jurisdictional powers anywhere within the borders. Okay? Then we have our county police, but those are our sheriff's departments. Okay, the sheriff is an elected official, but then everybody who works under the sheriff is the deputy, and they focus on areas in the county, even though they're assigned to different things. Now here in Salt Lake County, we have Sheriff Rosie, right? And she has both Unified and the Sheriff's Office. They all fall under her jurisdiction. They're all here in the county, and they all just have different assignments where they work, but they're focused on areas of the county. And then you have our local police department, which is us. We focus here in Herriman, right? Now the difference is any police officer in the state of Utah, whether you're a deputy or a city police officer, you've been granted police rights within the state. However, we've been asked that we stay in our jurisdictions and focus on our assignments, right? But that's going to be your main differences between your sheriff and your deputies and your police officers and police departments, okay? It's more of just the area that you've been assigned to.
I understood that the sheriff role had a much greater impact when it comes to the citizens. For example, let's say an FBI agent shows up at my house and says, I want to collect your guns, which I don't have any, but if they came, I could call the sheriff and they can override that, can't they?
You know what? That's a very complex question. Override it, there are so many circumstances there, okay? It would depend on warrants or anything else of what's going on, depending on the judge that signed the paperwork and what happens with that. I think that that's a little bit off topic of what we're discussing today, but if you've got further questions, both myself and Chuck, we'd make ourselves available to try and clarify any of that for you, okay? I'd be happy to. But in a nutshell, I wouldn't say that the sheriff can just walk in and supersede the FBI. I can't say that because the circumstance would really depend on why they're there and what paperwork is granting them permission to be doing what they're doing, okay? I mean, clearly, if they're there with like federal paperwork signed by a federal judge, they've got some pretty high powers backing them. So again, I couldn't answer yes or no to that because it is a very complex type situation.
That was a great question, and further discussion, we'd love to talk to you some more about that. But if we're talking about some of the scams and some we're seeing, and we'll probably touch on that, is people posing as police officers, posing as federal agents, posing as deputies, saying that they have authority to arrest you. We can talk about the questions that you can and should ask and what we're required to give when it comes to somebody posing as an officer. And we can talk about that.
You actually want to cover that real quick? I mean, I
Yeah.
actually think with this being our slide, that's very applicable to right now
So we don't see it often, but it does happen where I think in the news maybe a few months back there was an individual driving around our county and our cities that had an unmarked unmarked car with red and blue police lights, and they were pulling people over. If you ever run into a situation where you're confronted by somebody posing as a police officer and you question that and your spidey sense is saying something's not right, whether they're in plain clothes and they just have a badge but they don't have any identification with them, or you ask the officer, well, I would like to see your identification. Every officer is required to have an ID with them that states what agency they work with, their name, their agency. It's a police ID, right? And they should provide their shield. So if you still question that, and you got somebody that's either pulled you over or is trying to confront you at your home or in your street, I would like you to call a partner, call another officer or your supervisor to come to this location. If you still question that, 911. Call dispatch. Hey, I've got someone posing as an officer. I don't know, they're being really shady. I just want to confirm that this is a police officer. And the dispatchers say, yes, we do have an officer out at your location. This is their name. This is the purpose for them being there. We have another officer en route on their way. It's in a marked patrol car. If you ever, just again, when it comes to questioning or you're just not sure, absolutely 100%, you can question the officer about their identity and asking for proof that they're an officer. And if they absolutely will get on their radio, they'll call somebody, yep, I've got someone on their way, I'll just wait over here till another officer shows up in a marked patrol car, or to verify that we're legitimate, right? You have a right to keep yourself safe, to question the officers. If they give you any problems, especially here at Herriman PD, which you won't, but if you ever did, that is something that we will absolutely hold ourselves accountable to. And I know that our chief and our administration, we need to know about that. Okay? Anybody have any questions along that line?
Okay, for a holdover like that, we still stay in our car and lock the doors?
So the question is,
If they don't ask us to get out, then we do that and call 911?
absolutely.
We're in
Yeah.
situation?
Yeah, just remain calm and just say, I'm calling the police. And if I think maybe in my years of experience, I probably had that maybe once where I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I've got another officer coming. You can call our dispatch. Here's the number. And went through that whole process. But the more you just remain calm, and if you need to, and stay in your car, keep yourself safe, and call 911, absolutely. Does that help answer your question? Okay.
Great. One of the next ones that we're going to move on to then are grandchild scams. Okay? Now, this happens not only with grandchildren, but children as well. I'll tell you about a really scary one that we had. Okay? Guy gets a phone call. He's out here. He lives in New York, but he's a high-ranking guy who works in one of those big, tall towers downtown. So he's kind of got a place out here, and he found a nice small home here in Herriman, so he bought a second home out here. Comes out here, spends a lot of time. He was explaining it to me. It's kind of a month here and a month back in New York. He's back and forth, and one night he gets home from dinner when he gets a phone call. It's kind of a garbled voice, and he can hear a girl screaming in the background. He says, we've kidnapped your daughter, and for $5,000 we'll let her go. And he starts kind of talking to him, and they gave him his first name and his daughter's first name, but that was all the information that they gave him. Now, this guy was really lucky. He's got two cell phones. He's got a work cell phone and a home cell phone. So he grabs his work cell phone and calls his wife and goes, hey, where's our daughter? She's sitting on the couch next to me. We're watching TV. Let me talk to her. Why are you calling me? I said, let me talk to her. Hands their daughter the phone. She goes, what's up, Dad? Just needed to make sure you were safe. Thank you. He then tells the guy, hey, look, I just talked to my daughter. She's at home. She's 100% safe. And then he calls to report this to me, okay? Now, what's happening an awful lot is, Grandma, I've got your grandson. We're in Mexico. He was partying way too hard last night. I know it's not the typical actions your grandson takes, but he had too much tequila, got in a fight with a guy. He's now in jail. We're going to need $1,500 for his bail. And then you get a kid in the background, and he's kind of making some noise. Kind of sounds like maybe it's your grandkid, right? Okay, people are sending these guys money all the time. They're wiring it to them. Then they're running out of money. Yes, sir.
Now with artificial intelligence, with artificial intelligence, they can create the right voice for the person they say is calling. So
it's scary.
Yeah, we just had a issue in our family where we had someone demand cryptocurrency to release someone, and they had a conversation with the person and knew their voice, and it was a bad scene.
It is, actually. You're right. Again, the way that these computer programs are advancing is scary. You know, your nephew, your uncle, your brother, whoever it is, they start posting a lot of these videos on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. AI can start to grab those samples of their voices and can recreate that person. They can recreate enough of those sound bites that the computer can then make up the rest of the voice, the missing words. And then these computer systems are so fast that as I start talking to them and I ask them to name me the colors of the rainbow in order, well, this computer is running faster than my brain runs, and I got to start Roy G. Biv, so red or... And the computer's already answered it by the time I even get through the acronym, right? It's the same thing, okay? It's happening. Now, here's the deal, okay? Billy calls you, Grandpa, I made a mistake last night, went to the bar, now I'm sitting in jail. Don't tell Mom, please. Can you just help pay my bail? I promise I'll make it up to you. I'll get you the money back. Sure, you bet, Billy. Here's what I'm doing as Grandpa. I'm hanging up on him, okay? Billy is going to be so mad at me if he's sitting in jail till I show up and pay his bail. But I'm going to ask him, well, what jail are you at? Where are you? Yeah, I'm in St. George. Cool. I'm calling the Washington County Sheriff's Office. I'm saying I need to speak to intake. I'm finding out if Billy was actually arrested this weekend in St. George, right? Because here's the deal. If Billy was actually arrested in St. George, I can pay his bail, I can help him out, and he's going to be in debt to me for the next decade, right? If Billy wasn't really there, or they're like, I don't know what you're talking about, sir, then I'm going to call Billy. Shoot, I might even start with calling Billy. Like, I'm going to call his phone number directly. Hey, are you really in trouble, right? Remember, protect yourself. Billy might be mad at you for hanging up on him when he called you from jail. He's only going to be mad until you show up and pay his bail, right? It's the same thing. Double check it, right? Chuck said that a little bit ago. If your spidey senses start tingling, you feel something's not right, double check yourself in all of these situations, okay? If it's a good deal right now, it's going to be a good deal in 10 minutes after you check some facts out. Remember that, okay? If you have any questions, like that bottom line is, call us. We have a lot of tools at our disposal, especially if they're saying your child's being kidnapped or they're saying that your child's been arrested and they're sitting in jail. Call the police department. We got a lot of cool tools. We can call a lot of people and start to find some information out for you real quickly. I know what the TV portrays about calling the police in a kidnapping thing, and man, it makes for a great TV show for an hour. But call us. The sooner the better on all of these things. If nothing else, it at least reports that it's happening. Now, this is an interesting one. Our money mules, okay? Money mules and money laundering, it's changed a lot over the last few decades. What I'm doing now is I'm contacting you through an email, I'm contacting you through some sort of Facebook page, a message you're going to get. I'm going to give you just an incredible job opportunity, okay? But part of this job opportunity is we got to get you some equipment. I got to pay you for something. We're coming up with it. I'm going to send you a check in the mail. You give me your address. Now I'm sending you a check for $8,500. Here's our agreement, though. You get $1,500 as your cut. And what you're going to do is you take that other $7,000, just send it back to me. I'm going to give you my account number. You just send it back to me. Okay? Now, what's happened is I went and I stole a check out of a mailbox. I've washed this check. I've now made it out to you for $8,500. Then you're going to take that money and you're going to put it into another bank account. Just so happens that's a bank account that I've already got the account information to, and I've got somebody else money laundering a little bit more money out of that account. Okay? Now the bank gets this check and $8,500. Well, they don't have money to clear that. And, oh, hey, look, it was written out to Steve Peterson. Now all of a sudden I got detective knocking on my door going, hey, you're under arrest for stealing $8,500 from this person on their stolen check. I don't know what you're talking about. A lot of people are falling victim to this, okay? If the deal sounds too good to be true, it's because it is, okay? I think there's one thing common amongst this group here that's not common amongst the group under 40. That is, we understand we work for what we get, right? I remember that ice cream truck coming down the road and Dad telling me, you bet, but you're going to mow the lawn on Saturday for that ice cream, right? Didn't wake up in the morning and went, man, Dad owes me ice cream today because, well, I was born, so he owes me ice cream, right? You guys understand it even better than I do, okay? If I tell you I'm just going to send you $1,500 just to send me $7,000 back, should be one of the first clues, right? That's not right. Why would you send me an $8,500 check so I can send you $7,000 back? Just send me my $1,500, right? Let me do something for you before you pay me. I'm not going to expect to get my paycheck before I work for you. That doesn't work. If I came into your office one day and asked for my check before I did anything, would you laugh at me? Probably fair, right? So it's the same thing here. But what they're doing is they're coming up with clever excuses as to why they're sending you more money than what they've agreed to pay you. It's because they're all stolen bank account information, stolen checks, and they're stealing from this person. They're using you as the middle person. They're putting it into this account, and then they're having somebody else steal it out of this account. And again, it goes through 4 or 5 bank accounts, 5 or 6 different people before it ever gets to the end person. Sure, that guy only gets $4,000 of the $8,500, but he didn't do anything, and his name's not attached to any of it anywhere, but your name sure is. Okay? They find out about it. Your bank's like, oh, yeah, they are moving fraudulent checks through here. Your bank steps in. They freeze your account again. Okay? We're in that part where we're just kind of stuck. Home repair scams. We're seeing a lot of people come around or contact you on the phone of, hey, you got a leaky downpipe on your rain gutter. I'll come in and I'll fix it. Hey, you need help fixing your bathroom, right? You got that leaky toilet. A lot of these guys, they're taking your money. They either don't show up and do the job, or they do a worse job causing you more damage, costing you more money. Okay? You get somebody showing up to your house offering to make a repair, ask them for references. Ask to see their insurance. Ask to see their business license, okay? If I'm a legitimate person trying to make money doing home repairs, I'm going to have all that information for you. If I'm seeming a little bit sketchy, again, if it doesn't seem right, it probably isn't, okay? We're not seeing as much of this, but it is still happening. Okay, now here's another big one. For victims over the age of 60 who reported romance and online dating schemes, there's a loss of $419 million in 2022. Okay? As we start to get a little bit, we're at the point where we want a little bit of companionship, friendship, right? We meet somebody in a chat room on Facebook. We start talking. We find out, hey, yeah, he's in the military, or because of work, he's working, in a different state, different country. But we just start talking, and then all of a sudden, us being friends kind of advances, maybe a romantic situation, it gets to the point where a lot of times they start to plan the wedding, right? And then, hey, look, I got the perfect person to make us a wedding cake. I got the best caterer you know of. Send me $5,000 so that we can get everything. Well, now I'm so infatuated with this lady. She's so beautiful. We're best friends. I mean, we've been talking for 3 whole months online. I know this is going to last forever. I'm sending her my $5,000 for that caterer for our wedding, right? Get back online and she's gone. That account's gone. So's my $5,000. Okay? Unfortunately, as you can see, 2022, $419 million were lost to schemes exactly like that. It was for the photographer. It was, hey, you know what? We're going to get married. I need a plane ticket home. I'm stationed in Germany. I don't have the money. Can you send me $1,500 for my round trip tickets to get home from Germany? I mean, there are legitimate reasons, legitimate stories that they're coming up with. And, well, I've talked to them for 3 straight months. We've created a friendship. These guys are willing to put in the work. I mean, 3 months for $1,500, geez, that's a great payday, Continuing on with it, right? I mean, look at this. Our losses. 2021, there was even a higher loss. I think it was almost $450,000 that year. Okay, these numbers are staying about the same. I want to say the last study I read, 2023, they were estimating about $600 million for 2023. Again, we don't have final numbers yet, but it is going up. Be aware of these, right? If somebody's creating a relationship with you, a friendship with you, really make sure of things before you send them money. A safe bet, safe rule that I learned is if I can't afford that much money on lunch, I probably shouldn't send it to you unless I've met you in person. Okay? Now here's a few different resources I like to go over with people. We've left some of these flyers on the tables here, which kind of give you a brief overview of some of the stuff we've talked about today. They also outline a few of these different resources. If you're ever falling scam, other than just calling the police, right? Let's go through a few things. Call the companies where it happened. It was Wells Fargo. Let's make them aware of it. Let them know that I made a report with the police department. Give them that case number. Okay? We're also going to be calling the 3 credit bureaus, and we're going to have them freeze our credit. All right? This means that if your identity has fallen victim, your social security number, driver's license number, all the fun stuff, they will freeze your accounts. People can't open loans and other stuff under your name. You go to the bank because you need a loan, you need to get that car, whatever the case may be. You call them back, they unfreeze it, takes about 15 minutes. The bank runs all your information, you get your loan, you call them back, they freeze it, lock it back down for you. Okay? This is something that the government requires them to do to keep us safe. You don't have to be a victim. You can call in and get it frozen right now if you want. Okay? It will help protect you. Another one, identitytheft.gov. Okay? This is one where all those stats that I've kind of gone over today, they ask the minimum information from you. What state are you in? Was there a financial loss? And then they give you brackets. They're fairly large. Was it $10,000 to $30,000? Was it $30,000 to $50,000? Was it $100 to $500? Same thing with your age. Are you male or female? Was your age, 18 to 25, 35 to 55, 55 to 85? They break it down, but they're gathering this information for us. This helps us have more tools and resources available to us at our disposal on the local levels to combat some of these crimes. Okay? As well up here, ic3.gov. Okay? This is one that the federal government, the Federal Trade Commission, has gone through and they've put together free resources for anybody who's fallen victim to any of this stuff. Okay, well, my fat finger typed IG. It's IC3. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, IC. I was in a hurry when I was typing that. Thank you for catching that. Okay, IC3. But that is just completely full. Again, the Federal Trade Commission gathers this information to help us. All right? If you're willing to provide more to them, they'll accept it because it can help the FBI build cases against these people if we're able to catch them. And then, of course, getting it reported to us just helps tremendously. Sometimes some of our friends and neighbors have had the same thing by the same guy, and it helps us build a case. And then we find out it was tied to a case in Sandy and one in Ogden and one in Spanish Fork, and then we can actually get the Attorney General's office involved. We can bring the FBI in as well. So we do ask, report it. Let us know. Goes back to that classic saying, see something, say something, right? Even if you didn't fall victim to it, but they called you, let us know. We're here to take that information, and maybe it's that missing piece we need to kind of finish off the case for your neighbor or somebody else as well.
The IC3, thanks Steve, fat fingers. That paperwork is over here, so on your way out, just you make sure and grab that. If you haven't been able to take a note on that, grab the paperwork. Question back here?
Yeah. So if we get a call from a police officer saying they're doing a fundraiser or something, is that a scam?
Okay, so again, the phone calls and questioning whether they're a legitimate law enforcement, whether they're charitable organization, ask for the name of that organization, and then verify. You can go online, say, here's the information, thank you, I will consider it, but I'm going to verify. And then you can go on, do some research, even call your local police department, call our dispatch and talk to an officer can call you, an on-duty officer can answer that question, say, yes, Fraternal Order of Police, FOP, that is a legitimate organization, this is a phone number for them. So if that's something you want to donate, any kind of a donation, it's always, again, check, you can trust but verify. And if you have any questions, you can always call an on-duty law enforcement officer, and we can steer you in the right direction. I just wanted to touch on, sorry, Wendy, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, and I see it on the watch logs a lot, and it's more with the kids, grandkids, nieces, nephews, that they are getting scammed through Snapchat, Instagram. People are getting their pictures, they're asking for money, or they're going to release them to their friends. Do you want to just touch on that really quickly for maybe some grandkids or?
Okay, so for those of us who aren't up to speed on this, we have programs such as Snapchat where we send messages directly to each other, and a lot of these messages are photos or videos. And a lot of kids are now using them because these are private. People can't see what you and I discuss. Matter of fact, a lot of it starts to get deleted, right? As soon as you open it and read it, it can be deleted and gone forever. So that's why a lot of people are using this. Unfortunately, what's happened in the last few years is a lot of our teenagers have used it to start sending nude photos of themselves to somebody, okay? Think kind of that romance scam that we discussed a little bit, right? They start talking, they're sending messages, it's friendly, they create that relationship, and within no time, they trust this person for whatever reason, probably because they're young and don't have experience. Then they send them a picture, a naked picture or whatever, a sexual act picture or video, and then that person instantly sends them a message saying, I've saved this. I've also made a copy of your contact list, including your mom, your dad, aunt, and uncle, all your friends from school. And if you don't send me $500, I'm going to release your photo to all of the contacts on your list. Okay? A lot of our kids now, they don't have the skills to cope with that. They don't know what to do with that. They freak out. We're getting really lucky with a lot of them who are running to their parents instantly. But what we need to continue to advise these kids is don't do that, ever, period, to anybody, even if you know them, okay? This is happening so often that these kids are sending it out there. It's out there forever now, and it's happening a lot. That's one thing where us as the adults in these kids' lives can actually step up. I know I made the joke about calling my younger brother to come fix my computer when I've got issues. It wasn't a joke, it was really quite true. But this is one thing where us as the older people in these kids' lives can step in and tell them, look, you know, I hear that this is going on. I don't know if you're doing it, but don't. Here's why. It's out there forever. Once you hit send, whether it's a picture of a cheeseburger or it's a picture of you not wearing underwear, it's out there forever, okay? But the truth is, they're freaking out. They're going out and they're spending this money and they're sending it to people. And guess what? Sometimes they still send the picture anyways, even after you send the $500. And then you're out the money and you're embarrassed now.
Kids are committing suicide too.
I was just about to address that. Some of these kids, like I said, who don't have the coping mechanisms are going to extreme lengths at that point. And some of these extreme lengths have included some of them ending up committing suicide, okay? It's actually a very real thing, and it's past super serious, okay? I strongly suggest if you have a time to speak to any of your teenagers that you know, maybe just make a comment. Hey, look, I sat in this room with this one cop who really didn't know what he was talking about, but he did a good job lying to us. But one thing that stuck to me was that people are exchanging nude photos on their phones. And then they're being scammed out of large amounts of money, and sometimes it causes enough stress that people are hurting themselves and killing themselves. Don't do that, period. There's no exception to the rule. There's no other ifs, ands, or buts. That's one that we can put our foot down and say, don't do that. End of story. It just doesn't turn out well for anybody. It doesn't matter your age.
In caveat to that, I have young children, and communication with our family members, and especially our youth, starting that conversation. If it hasn't been had, then start monitoring the social media, granting access to make sure you have passwords and you can access those at any given time, having the conversation, being open, helping them understand that we make mistakes, and if you do make a mistake that can be pretty shameful or embarrassing, that you can come talk to me as your parent, and we're going to start this conversation, and we're going to have these conversations regularly so that when that does happen, that they can come to you. Or that when you do confront them, you can do it in that loving, non-angry type of way, right? Our children just need to make sure, or just instill that confidence that mom and dad have their back no matter what. That's really a key piece to that communication as well. And not only that, but with these images, they're felonies for every image that's on an electronic device. If you do, or your child or grandchild does get involved in this, and there are images on their cell phone, do not send them to your phone, because now you're in possession of child pornography and it's a felony. Call police immediately, and the police will walk you through and will take the phone, and we have special procedures and laws that us as law enforcement, how we're supposed to handle that, and we can educate you on that process. But whatever you do, leave it on the device, turn it off, and call the police. Is that fair? We'll get to questions, but I just want to touch on one quick thing here. We've got about 6 minutes. Spring season, summer season's coming around. I'm already working with a couple different communities and HOAs regarding door-to-door cells. City ordinance for door-to-door cells, the city takes steps through our code. It's 3-6E, if you want to look it up. You can go to herriman.org, you can go into this, look up under city ordinances, and you go to 3-6E, and it's got paragraphs 1 through 20, and it talks about the application process. It's very, very detailed and very articulate on what people must do in order to sell any goods or services or product or go door to door in Herriman City. If you're selling product or you're going door to door, you have the right to do that, but you have to be licensed through the city, and there's a license process to go through. And what that does is there's a background and confirmed information that says who you are. Then once you're approved and you pay a small fee, then you're issued credentials from the city that must be visible when they're knocking on your door. If somebody comes to your door and they do not have the city credential, you can ask them for the credential. If they don't have it, you tell them to leave, and if they do not leave immediately, you call us. Because they are required to, the second somebody, you as citizens, tell somebody, I am not interested, they shall and must turn around and walk away and leave your property. If they do not do that, it's a Class B misdemeanor. How many people here have no soliciting signs that are clearly posted on your property? Okay. Okay. So if you look at the code, it's very specific when it talks about each individual person. So if you live in an HOA, whether it's a community and you have your bylaws that say no soliciting, it has to be on your individual property. Okay, so people have right to public access, to walk on the sidewalk. They have the right to freedom of speech. They don't have a right to be disorderly, right, or to cause confrontation. But if you don't want solicitors coming to your door, in order for us to enforce that, you have to have a visible sign, whether it's leading up to the front door or near the front door, that's clearly visible, that says no soliciting, no trespassing, no salesperson. Any type of that language will fall under this protection.
So we've got two entrances to our HOA, which is a loop. We've got a little sign saying no solicitation.
Right.
What you're saying now is that's not good enough. It's got to be on each individual door of the 120 units.
Each individual person. If you don't want a solicitor on your property, yes. Because what happens is we as a city and we as a department cannot enforce HOA civil bylaws. Okay. Right? We as a police department, I get this a lot, and I educate and I help steer people in the right direction on what people's rights are and what we can and can't do. Yes, yes. So,
thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, and that was one of the questions I've fielded recently, and that's why I'm bringing this up. So, and this goes along with the fraud, preventing fraud, and somebody that's trying to sell stuff, because we get a lot of fraudsters too that are knocking on your doors, and a lot of even legitimate salespeople will see the sign and they'll still knock on your door. If it's visible, that is a Class B misdemeanor.
It does not apply to Girl Scouts.
So those who are exempt, now there are exempt groups, whether it's religious, whether it's political, that are exempt from having to have the license to go door to door, but they are required to abide by the no soliciting sign. So it doesn't matter whether they are or are not exempt, whether they're selling product or they're not and they're trying to do something for a charitable organization. If there is a no soliciting sign and they go by that, that is a Class B misdemeanor. And if you tell them to leave and they don't leave, again, you as a citizen have a right to be safe, you have a right to your property, and you have the right to trespass people from entering your property. So the code again, the 3-6E, if you have any questions, there's, I think it's like 14, 15, and 16 of that section that'll specifically spell out what the requirements are for somebody that sells and that their obligation to ensure that if there is a no soliciting sign or there is not. So hopefully this helps.
A lot of people ask what the solicitor permit looks like. I'll come up here so you don't have to turn around. It's orange, has an orange bar at the top, has a photo that we at the city have taken, has an expiration date, has the city logo on it. So that's what it looks like. That's what they should present to you if you ask for it.
And maybe that's something we can put out as an educational piece as spring and summer's coming up through the city. So be looking for that, or if you have specific questions about what that looks like, again, we'll see what we can do to get that posted. But other than that, are there any other questions associated with anything we've talked about here today?
Is it useful to have a code word in your family so you know if the person that you're talking to is really your family?
The question is to have code words. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So having a code word, a safety word, whatever it may be, if someone's calling you and they're claiming to be so-and-so, what is our code word? That's absolutely effective.
I think that goes right back to when we teach our little kids, stranger danger, right? If somebody comes to your school to pick you up saying, Mommy sent you, they'll tell you what the code word is. I think it's just as applicable in today's world for us adults as it is when we're teaching our children. Sure.
Is it legitimate to have flyers around the community with solicitation on it?
So the tree companies that come
Yeah.
by or that, clean up, they leave things.
They're allowed to do that. So again, if they're not engaging in conversation and they're leaving a flyer, they're still obligated by the same thing with the no soliciting. If they're walking onto your property and placing a flyer or a door hanger on your property and you have a no soliciting sign, they still must abide by that same rule where they're not allowed to trespass on your property. Does that make sense?
Any other questions we can address for you? Well, awesome.
I'll have business cards. Sorry, Steve. I'll have business cards over here, so feel free to grab one of these and any of the brochures that we have out on the table.
I was just going to thank you all for coming out today, and remember, grab any of these flyers that interest you. But again, thank you very much.
I just wanted to thank them, Steve and Chuck, again for doing this for us. If you guys have any education topics that you want Herriman City to address, please let us know. Come talk to me. My office is here at City Hall. Give me a call. I'd love to hear from you. We love your feedback. Any other senior activities that you want to see that we haven't done, please let me know. We love your feedback. And then just a reminder that in April, we are hosting a paint class. It's instructor-led, free for our seniors, and we provide all the paint materials. So come join us. Just call the events office to reserve your spot because space is limited for that. So just let us know if you want to join. And thank you again.